Hey, welcome back. I am going to put together a succulent bowl today for an outdoor table arrangement. So these are annuals if you leave them outside, but they can also be houseplants. So I will be overwintering them indoors and then hopefully bringing it back outdoors in the summer each year. I also thought it would be fun to do a chit chat. I had put it out there on the community page to see if you guys had any questions, and I had a question about my recent Master Gardener's training. So I was going to fill you guys in on my summary. I didn't actually finish all of my reviews and sort of recap videos. I was planning to do many more, but as life gets, so I didn't finish all of my sort of segments. I'm just editing this video and I wanted to clear up. I have finished my training. I just didn't finish my videos of reviewing my training. Hope that makes sense. Thanks. For my Master Gardener training, but I thought it would be beneficial for those of you who are interested in doing the training yourself to sort of give you my review about how my experience was. So that's what we're going to do today. So I have my bowl. I bought this on Amazon. It was about $20. It looks like concrete, but it's plastic, and quite a durable plastic, which I'm quite happy about. It has a drainage hole, but I'm not going to be using it because I do not want to have water and soil all over our deck. So I have a cactus mix soil. I'm going to be using this and then adding perlite into it. Since it doesn't have drainage, I think the perlite will help. All right, it is quite full, but the look I'm going for is just sort of that mounded effect. I recently did a fountain, it's just behind the camera, and I filled it with succulents, and I also did that sort of look. I just want it to be abundant and very full looking. So that's why there is so much soil in here, and as I add these plants, I think we'll get that sort of mounding look. So as I plant these, I will put the name on the screen. Succulents are very difficult to pronounce for me, so I will put the names on the screen as we plant. I had these out by our side door, and the chipmunks have been ruthless this year. They have been eating everything. I have calendula in some of my pots that they're eating, dahlia. They nibbled on the leaves. They've been nibbling on this. It's very frustrating. So I'm hoping once this succulent arrangement is on the table, they'll leave it alone. But the chipmunks this year, there are so many of them. I guess that's a good thing. Chipmunks are beneficial in the yard, but we have so many. I also noticed that they've been propagating themselves. As the leaves drop off, they sort of root themselves, which is nice. So I have more plants than I started with, which is nice. Okay, so my review on my Master Gardener's training. I am in Canada, in BC, southern BC. We are the Thompson Shuswap region, and that's sort of a broad term for like the interior southern portion of BC. And I know that my review on my Master Gardener's training will be very subjective to the area that I'm in and the training I received. I think most Master Gardener regions are very research-based, science-based. So I'm assuming most would be like that. But I did, before I signed up for my training, I did read some of the reviews, and some people thought it wasn't worthwhile. It is quite a lot of money. I think it was $600 or $800. I'll put it on the screen. I totally forget. So that's quite a lot of money. Most of the money does go towards the curriculum or the books that you're receiving. We received a manual that was like a university sized manual, tons of information, great resource. But that's where most of the money went for my training. Because I believe it is a not-for-profit society type of thing for tax purposes. Oh wow, this one has a huge root system. So anyway, yeah, it is a lot of money, and I did read going into it that some people didn't think that it was worth the investment based on the training that they received. And I would argue that in my experience for my region, for the training I received, that is not the case. We had professors from universities, soil scientists, horticulturists. There was a man who owned a pest control company, and he taught us about, integrated pest management. So I think that the training we receive in our region is definitely worthwhile for the amount of money we pay. By the end of the training, do we know everything? No, certainly not. The goal of Master Gardeners is to educate the public, right? So once we have our training, we are to go and do clinics, is what they call it, which is just at a farmer's market or a local nursery, garden center, and we're just answering questions for the general public. And that I was afraid of. After I had completed my training, I'm still in training, apparently for 2 years we're in training. That was what I was not looking forward to. The reason why I signed up for Master Gardeners was for the education, because I love gardening, but I'm not always getting the results that I want in my gardening. So I wanted to understand, like how soil works, which I learned, how pests work and what kind of pest pressure we can deal with and tolerate, and how we can manage, the pests we don't want to deal with. So anyway, that was my motivation, the education, but I did not look forward to the clinics. And I have to say, having done, I think, 2 or 3 clinics so far, and you're not left alone. In our region, we are a team, right? We have someone who's fully trained. This one gal I met, she's been with Master Gardeners for 30 years. And then usually there's a couple of us sort of trainees together. So maybe 2 or 3 of us. And you don't feel like you're left alone. And most gardeners just want to talk about plants. They want to talk about their experience. They want to talk about how bad aphids have been this year. So most of them are very enthusiastic, and they just want to talk to you. And I find being honest and saying, I don't know everything. I know how to find the answer to your question, or I maybe know how to phrase what you're looking for. And I know how to ask the right questions when they're seeking an answer, if that makes sense. So yeah, we don't know everything. And I think that's going to be the case. It's a lifelong journey, gardening. So anyway, clinics have been a fabulous experience so far, and I actually really look forward to them. As far as continuing education, the first 2 years for my region, you are not required to do any more education because you did put in an intensive amount of education already. I didn't add it up. Maybe I'll put it on the screen again, but I'm pretty sure it was, I want to say 3 hours twice a week minimum. Sometimes it was like an all-day event on a Saturday. There were a lot of Zooms, which was very, very nice. So not all of them were in person. Most of them were on Zoom. But yeah, I would say minimum 6 hours of actual learning, seminars a week, plus your pre-reading. So you're going through that manual, you're reading a chapter every week at least, and then additional other gardening books that are really, really good resources. There's a couple books by Linda Gilkinson. She actually taught some of our seminars as well. Anyway, so the time commitment is extensive for my region. So yeah, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a week, plus your pre-reading. And I think that was 3 months. So yeah, tons of learning and reading. But I loved it. Of course, you're only going to be doing Master Gardeners if you are a gardener or you're a plant enthusiast. So when you are reading these chapters and taking quizzes, we also had quizzes. It doesn't feel like such a burden because you definitely love what you're learning. And then I also will talk about the community. So now that I have completed my education, I'm not done my training, right? Because I still need to have my volunteer clinic hours. So I have met the Thompson Shuswap region Master Gardeners, most of them, I think, if not all. We've had a meeting. We had a spring meeting. We toured some really nice farms, local. We did a personal garden tour. One of the Master Gardeners, she opened up her backyard to us, and it was just so beautiful. I kind of want to ask her if I can take a video for you guys because it was just so beautiful. She is very, very talented. So I've definitely made friends along the way. I plan to have everybody over at my house once my flower farm is blooming because I think they'll really enjoy seeing a flower farm in action. We did sort of like a field trip to. We did a field trip to one of the local universities and their garden. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like social aspects that come with being a Master Gardener. More friends, more people to talk about gardening and plants with. So that's been a real treat and something that I've really enjoyed. All right, so back to the plants. I have put most of the larger ones in, and I think I'm happy with how they are. I definitely need to tuck some more soil in around them, but I think I'll do that before I plug in these tiny ones. So yeah, kind of happy with how it's looking so far. This one is so nibbled. The chipmunks really like to bug that one. Okay, more soil. Okay, the soil level I think is where I want it to be. And now I will just do the finishing touches with my little tiny ones. This I definitely know the name of, donkey's tail, burro's tail, maybe some people call it. It is such a great succulent. I have it in another one of my arrangements in the house, and it is so cute and it propagates so easily. You just pull off one of the leaves. Well, all succulents do, but this one seems to do it a lot quicker. But yeah, I love this one. And I think it's going to be beautiful sort of trailing over the edge because that's the way this one grows. I will say, back to Master Gardener training, I will say that the topics were very relevant. So we partnered with the Vancouver Master Gardeners, which, if you're not familiar with BC or Canada, a huge urban, dense city. Millions of people live there, and it's just a few hours away from us. So we partnered with them, which made our education definitely a lot more extensive, and I think maybe the quality was probably a lot better too, partnering with such a large community. I think they have maybe 300 master gardeners in their region. Some of the education we received was more in line with a Vancouver climate garden, and they are zoned, anywhere from 8 to 9, I would say, very coastal, wet. They are dealing with some droughts, like the rest of us are, but more humid and more rain than we get here in the interior. So that was, I wouldn't say it was a reason to not do the Master Gardener training for my region with the Vancouver training. Now, I wouldn't say that was a bad thing, because I think the trade-off was the quality of training, right? Like, we had university professors, really, really experienced people doing these seminars for us because of it. So I think with everything, when you're watching a garden tour from someone, in a zone 8 or 9 and you don't live in those zones, you just take it with a grain of salt. Plants in general there are a lot of basics you can take from training, even if it's not your garden zone. And you can still learn a tremendous amount, even if it's not your zone. So that's the one thing I would say. But it's definitely not a con. Like I said, the trade-off was definitely better education and training. So just more of a consideration. Maybe finding out where your Master Gardeners Society partners with, or who does the training, where the information comes from. Those are great questions to find out before you sign up, maybe. But like I said, I think the Master Gardeners training program is researched and science-based. All right, now I'm just going to be tucking in some more soil, because as the succulents sort of drop their leaves and reproduce, they will cover the soil. Okay, so now I'm just going to be popping these leaf cuttings that are starting to propagate themselves on the soil in hopes that they will keep growing and fill up this container. Okay, I think I'm thrilled with how that looks. I'm happy that I finally got it done. These plants were just sitting in the courtyard over there for almost, I don't know, a couple weeks or a month, and it's been a long time coming, but I'm happy that this is done. It's going to be really nice arrangement to sort of be here when we're having our little barbecues and dinner out here on the deck. And that also wraps up my recap for my Master Gardeners training. I hope that answered most of your questions. If you're considering doing the training yourself, I definitely think it's worth an email. Just asking the organizers just to see where their training is based, who teaches their training, what resources they use, what community involvement looks like after your training is complete. But all in all, I definitely recommend the program. I'm so happy I did it now. Part of me is like, why didn't I wait until, my kids were older, less life was going on, when I had more time. But now that I am done, those 3 months of intensive education and training, I'm so thrilled that I am, because my knowledge far supersedes what I had previously to my training. And I'm already seeing myself garden different. And that was my goal for the training, actually. And that was my priority in my training, just to be a better gardener, to understand how trees grow, the makeup of soil, dealing with pests and all of that type of things. So that definitely checked that box. For me, I'm more of an aesthetic gardener. I really like beautiful things, creating, you know, romantic spaces in the garden. But for me, the function and the practical side lacks a little bit. So this Master Gardener training has definitely upped the game for me, for my understanding of how a beautiful garden can be beautiful when it's healthy. So that's worthwhile for me. So anyway, huge time commitment, but it's sort of a lifelong journey, right? As we are learning about plants, and it changes too every year. The weather is different, our plants are different. So it's just, yeah, it's a never-ending challenge, but we love it. That's why we garden, right? So anyway, that hopefully will answer most of your questions. Definitely reach out to your master gardeners in your local region, see what it looks like, ask them some questions. From my experience, they have all been so friendly, and now I have way more garden friends and more people to talk about plants with. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope that this was, I don't know, interesting in the least. And I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.